Welcome to this Signal Stack Explainer. Today, we are unpacking a reported mega deal that could literally reshape the entire business of artificial intelligence. We're looking at what happens when the massive infrastructure of modern payments collides head-on with the infrastructure of modern AI. It's a fascinating strategic play, so let's just dive right into it.
$7 billion. That is a whole lot of zeros, right? On August 16, 2026, Bloomberg reported that the global payments giant Stripe finalized an agreement to acquire an AI startup called OpenRouter for more than $7 billion. Now, this isn't just a big number for the sake of a big number. It represents a dramatic, incredibly sudden repricing of an entirely new layer of the internet.
But honestly, this raises a massive strategic question. Why exactly would Stripe, a company famous for processing credit card payments and managing financial plumbing, why would they want to acquire an AI routing company? At first glance, a payments processor buying an AI gateway just looks like simple diversification, right? Maybe they're just trying to catch the AI hype train. But the deeper logic here is absolutely fascinating, and that's exactly what we're going to decode today.
So, here's our roadmap. We're going to cover the $7 billion reported deal, decode what an AI gateway actually is, look at the strategy of building an AI tollbooth, run through the market fallout with winners, losers, and risks, and finally, wrap up with the key signals to watch next.
Okay, Section 1, the $7 billion reported deal. Let's look at how insanely fast this all came together.
The timeline here is just mind-blowing. OpenRouter was only founded in 2023. By May of 2026, they raised a $113 million Series B at a $1.3 billion valuation. Then, literally just a few months later in August 2026, we get this Bloomberg report of a Stripe acquisition for over $7 billion. I mean, that is absolute hypergrowth in valuation. It really shows just how absolutely critical this layer between AI applications and model providers has become.
And to attract that kind of attention and that kind of valuation, you need massive scale. OpenRouter achieved this incredibly fast. Back in May, they reported serving 8 million users. They provide access to more than 400 different AI models, and prior to this reported deal, they had raised over $150 million in total funding. Basically, they built this massive hub for AI activity almost overnight.
But real quick, before we go any further, we do need to pause. This is a reported agreement. Neither company has publicly confirmed it yet. Stripe says they don't comment on rumors, and OpenRouter outright declined to comment. So the final price could totally still change, and regulatory or contractual steps might still be in the way. We are strictly analyzing a reported agreement here, not a formally announced closed acquisition.
Moving on to Section 2, decoding the AI gateway. Let's look at the underlying tech that makes OpenRouter so valuable in the first place.
So, what exactly is an AI gateway? Well, it's basically software that gives an application one single access point to multiple AI models. Think about being a developer for a second. Instead of hardwiring your app to just OpenAI or just Anthropic, you plug into OpenRouter. This completely eliminates vendor lock-in. It allows developers to dynamically route tasks on the fly. You can choose a premium model for a really complex reasoning task, a much cheaper model for routine busy work, or instantly switch to a backup if your main provider suddenly goes down.
The strategic overlap between these two companies is really what's so fascinating. Think about it. Stripe sits between merchants, banks, card networks, and customers. They convert this super fragmented financial infrastructure into one developer-friendly interface, while OpenRouter does the exact same thing, just for AI. They sit between applications, models, inference providers, and budgets, turning fragmented AI infrastructure into one interface. The easiest analogy is an online travel switchboard. Just like a travel site chooses the absolute best airline for you based on price, speed, and availability, OpenRouter chooses the best AI model. Stripe already runs the payment desk. Buying the switchboard lets them influence how the trip is selected and how the money moves.
Which brings us to Section 3, building the AI tollbooth. This is where the business models truly merge into something huge. Let's step through how this actually builds a totally new ecosystem for machine-to-machine commerce. Step 1, an application, or maybe an autonomous AI agent, requests a task. Step 2, OpenRouter's gateway routes that specific request to the most efficient model for the job. Step 3, Stripe steps in and handles all the metering, the billing, the reconciliation, and the settlement. When we get to a point where AI agents are generating thousands of microtransactions every single second, they are going to need the exact operational muscles that Stripe spent years and years building for internet commerce.
And look, this entire strategy is betting on a massive shift in AI economics. For a while, everyone just wanted to know which model was the smartest.
But now, scrutiny over AI cost is really rising. We're seeing cheaper models, including open source and international alternatives, proving to be totally adequate for a lot of tasks, even if the top-tier models from OpenAI or Anthropic are still viewed as generally more capable. This fragmentation creates massive demand for software that can constantly compare and switch among providers to find the lowest reliable cost.
And that brings us to the ultimate strategic prize here. This deal is way less about building the smartest model and way more about owning the checkout lane for machine intelligence. If Stripe can combine their massive payments data and billing tools with OpenRouter's routing layer, they get total visibility into both sides of the economic loop. They see exactly what the software company is paying for raw AI capacity, and they see exactly what the end customer is paying to use that software. They effectively become the toll booth for the entire multi-model economy.
All right, Section 4, Winners, Losers, and Risks. A shift this big obviously creates some immediate market fallout.
So who are the potential winners? Well, Stripe obviously gains a massive AI foothold, and they do it without having to bet everything on one single AI lab winning the overall race. OpenRouter investors get a huge valuation uplift, if that $7 billion price holds, of course. Developers get tighter budgets and reliable fallbacks. But honestly, perhaps the most interesting winners are the smaller AI model providers. A neutral gateway gives them massive distribution, making it incredibly easy for customers to test them side by side against absolute giants like Google or OpenAI.
On the flip side, you've got the highly exposed players. Rival AI gateways and established cloud marketplaces suddenly have to face a massively better funded competitor, one that already possesses a global billing network. Major model providers should be acutely nervous about this because they lose direct control over the customer if a gateway is the one making the ultimate decision on where the inference request actually goes. And finally, massive cloud companies face mounting pressure because Stripe could essentially bundle model choice and usage billing together without ever requiring a developer to commit to one specific cloud ecosystem. But we have to point out that Stripe itself faces a massive existential risk with this deal, and that is neutrality. A router completely loses its value if developers stop trusting it, if customers start fearing data concentration, or if they suspect even for a second that Stripe is favoring partner models just to improve Stripe's own economics rather than actually picking the best model for the task. The whole system falls apart. Trust is the absolute foundational bedrock of this entire AI tollbooth strategy. Let's wrap up with Section 5, Key Signals to Watch Next. How are we actually going to know if this bold strategy is working? Here are the specific metrics and events you should be monitoring. First, watch for the formal announcement itself and listen really closely to the language they use. Does Stripe explicitly commit to keeping OpenRouter neutral and provider agnostic? Second, keep an eye on provider participation and inference volume. Will the major AI providers actually continue to support the gateway? Or will a dominant model try to restrict access just to bypass this toll booth altogether? And finally, watch for Stripe billing integration. The absolute strongest confirmation of this entire thesis will be a new product that automatically measures AI cost per user, and then seamlessly bills, budgets, and settles that usage for paying customers. Before we fully wrap, we do need to clear up a few common misconceptions. Remember, again, a reported agreement is definitely not a closed acquisition. Second, Stripe is not automatically one AI just by buying a router. They still have to maintain developer trust in a market that is incredibly volatile right now. And third, while 8 million users sounds amazing on paper, that absolutely does not equal 8 million large paying enterprises. A user count alone doesn't reveal the revenue, the retention, or the profitability, and those numbers are completely essential for judging if a $7 billion price tag is actually justified.
Just a quick, standard reminder for you all. This analysis is for educational and informational purposes only. It's not financial, investment, legal, tax, or business advice. Always make sure to verify formal company announcements yourself, because transaction terms definitely can and do change.
Which leaves us with this final, really profound thought to chew on. Everyone has been so hyper-focused on who is going to build the absolute smartest AI model, literally pouring billions of dollars into data centers and chips. But this reported deal, it suggests a totally different path to dominance. The next true power center in AI might not own the leading model at all. Instead, they might just own the meter, the router, and the bill. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep an eye on those key signals and never stop learning.